All right. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our next Community Wildfire Preparedness and Mitigation webinar. My name is Kara Garrett, and I will be the moderator of this series. For all of you who are attending us right now, I just dropped a whole thing into the comments section. So if you have any issues during this webinar, my phone number is listed as well as my email, along with some resources that are helpful from this webinar series that we will be going through this episode today. So at the end, we will be taking a question and answer whole section, but if you have any questions during the webinar itself, please type them into the Q&A portion of your screen and we will answer those as quickly as possible. After our featured speaker has completed their presentation, we will be holding that question and answer session. And all webinar documentation, including the PDF of the PowerPoint recording of this webinar and all other related documentation discussed during this presentation will be available at our website at the Wildfire Public Education section, in that section of the comments on the Zoom platform, as well as on our website that I will post, that you will probably already be at because that's where you need to go. Today's webinar will feature information on our land use planning program and how you can be involved in your community to prepare for wildfires. And now I will kick it over to Acting State Fire Marshal Chief Daniel Berlant to get us started. So go ahead, Chief.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. And first off, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning on such an important topic. As mentioned, I'm the Acting State Fire Marshal, and as part of my responsibilities is overseeing our Community Wildfire Preparedness and Mitigation Division, and specifically within that, our land use planning program, which provides assistance and technical expertise to local governments in the wildfire preparedness space. Now, really, in the past 5 years, California has experienced not only the largest wildfires in our recorded history, but some of the most destructive fires. Over 50,000 homes, structures have been destroyed. And how we build out new communities to ensure that we don't follow that same trend into the future is a critical component of our wildfire strategy. Ensuring new neighborhoods have adequate emergency access, water supply, and fire protection, in addition to the parcel level mitigations, defensible space, home hardening, i.e. the building code. And so I'm very proud of the team that's here this morning to talk to you, and the members that are not here, because their whole mission is to assist local governments and local communities in making sure that they're planning for the future, and that planning is incorporating the best practices and the statutory requirements to ensure that wildfire mitigation is a component of us continuing to expand development within California. So with that, Kara, I'll turn it back to you to introduce our guests.
Thank you, Chief, and thank you for attending today. So now I will kick it over to our presenter, Battalion Chief of Land Use Planning, Chief Gene Potkey, to introduce himself and to share more information about the program and how you can get ready for wildfire season, actually peak wildfire season. So take it away, Chief.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again for taking time out of your day to be with us. I want to talk to you today about three things. We're going to talk about the FireWise USA program, why you need to contact your fire department in developing that FireWise plan, and then why you need to sign up for the emergency alert system. And so, as Kara had mentioned, I'm with the land use planning program, Battalion Chief, that also oversees the FireWise application review and approval for Southern California. And what I do is I look through all of these plans for some detailed information that I'm going to share with you, and then the application gets passed on to the national program manager for their review and approval. And really, the point of the FireWise program is really set. It's a community-based program to help educate the homeowners about wildfire and then take preventative measures against that. So if you can get to the next slide, Kara. So FireWise USA, for those of you who may not know, what is it and what they're trying to do? Well, the FireWise USA program works under the umbrella of the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA. And as I mentioned, it's a volunteer homeowner-led program within a community that's focused on education and preparing homeowners against wildfire with a neighbor helping neighbor focused. So if you're interested, I really encourage you to go to the FireWise webpage to get more information. And that is as simple as opening up a search browser on your computer and typing in how to become FireWise. And that'll take you to the homepage there where there is a step-by-step process on how to become FireWise. So one thing to consider is when you're looking to create a FireWise community, you need a minimum of 8 homes or dwelling units, but no more than 2,500. And that cap of 2,500, FireWise USA has noticed that that's about at the limit for a volunteer-led based program in your community as far as being able to adequately educate and get all the neighbors together on the same page about taking measures against wildfire. So the step-by-step process is really broken down into 3 major components. You want to organize it, plan it, and do it. And part of that organization is once you've determined how many residents are going to be in your community, you create that map, and then you create a board or committee to help with getting the message out. And the board and committee would reach out to your local fire department or your local regional, your FireWise regional coordinators. And a regional coordinator, their job is to help communities that are starting out with FireWise to get through the process, getting organized, getting the correct documentation filled out, and then getting you established and set up in the FireWise portal by setting up a community profile. So that's the organization side of things. And then for the planning side of it, what your community would do is you'd collaborate with your local fire department. And we really encourage that because those are your subject matter experts that can look at your neighborhood through the lens of wildfire. And one way they're going to help you with that is by filling out the required risk assessment document on the NFPA website for FireWise. And that community risk assessment, it's like doing a community survey as to where is your community strong with its wildfire preparation, but where are some shortfalls? And those identified shortfalls, you're going to compile into a list and then create a 3-year action plan. And that 3-year action plan it's basically a to-do list for the next 3 years. And the state of California and the Office of the State Fire Marshal has helped focus your attention as you build that document into 4 major topics. The first one being education and community outreach. The second one being home hardening. The third being defensible space and fuel reduction. And then finally, evacuation planning and other wildfire preparedness measures that you deem that's necessary for your community. This is your community plan that you're building. So these documents are required to be updated. Your risk assessment has to be updated every 5 years, and your 3-year action plan is good for 3 years. So these are going to be continuing, ongoing mitigation steps you're going to take to prepare your community for wildfire. And once you've done the planning part by creating these documents, then you're going to start doing it. You're going to start implementing it. And to do that, you need to record the hours of volunteer work that's being put into the community. So we talked earlier about identifying how many homes are going to be in this community. So if you had, let's just for example, said you had 100 homes in your community is required to put in 100 hours of work, risk reduction work a year. So that's 1 hour for every home. So it's a pretty low threshold, and that's fine, because if you only had 50 active members in your community while the other 50 just weren't too sure yet, that's still obtainable to get the 100 hours. Having worked in rural Mariposa County, I know homeowners spent a couple of weekends working on their defensible space alone. So it's an achievable goal. So once you're starting to do it, you're going to be tracking those hours, you're going to be entering it in your community profile, and then you're going to submit your application for review. And again, the heart of this program is really neighbor helping neighbor to prepare against wildfire. And I think what really sums it up best is there was an application I approved in Madera County a few months ago, and the community members used this purpose statement in their 3-year action plan. And it says here, our purpose for forming this group is to increase the awareness of the fire danger in the neighborhood. Hopefully, once the advantages of the group are seen by others in the neighborhood, they'll want to join as well. If we can improve the safety profile in most of the neighborhood, it will benefit everyone. The 3-year plan will give us the opportunity to plan for the future and mitigate any found hazard zones. The biggest immediate benefit will be to increase our knowledge of fire behavior and how to plan and prevent and/or deal with fire in the area. Our first step is to raise the diligence of fire prevention. This community, folks, is fulfilling their role in providing that defense for the neighborhood so that when needed, California's fire service is going to bring the offense. So if you can go to the next slide, Kara. So I mentioned earlier about bringing in your fire department with this. So how do you do that, right? Visit the local webpage, give them a phone call, reach out, and schedule an appointment with that local battalion chief or the fire prevention staff. And I really stress setting up an appointment as opposed to dropping in, because now with an appointment, they're carving out that time specifically for you. Okay, they can prepare now that they know that you're wanting to speak about wildfire, and they can bring in other information that might be of assist to you, just as those bullet points there have placed there for you. Information on defensible space, home hardening projects, evacuation planning. And by doing this, you're getting guidance from the subject matter experts, right? You're working with them and getting that expert information that's going to help focus your community's time and effort with preparing against wildfire. And people who learn about wildfire and take action against it, they start to see results a little more quickly because your attention has been focused. And as that happens, community members start to feel safer because they're taking an active role in protecting their families and homes, right? There's a plan in place so that when fire happens, people respond in a little bit more calmer and a more purposeful fashion. And one of the other things that talking to your fire department gets you, that guidance, is just an overall awareness of what other entities or planning documents are out there that can help you as well. So inviting your fire department or your fire safe council to speak at those educational outreach events are going to be very helpful for you. So in case you don't know what a fire safe council is, there's the Fire Safe Council of California, and it's a nonprofit corporation that coordinates a strong network of partnerships between local, regional, state, and national organizations to better help residents acquire the education, resources, and tools they need to better prepare for wildfire. And they also happen to be the recipients of grants that's been awarded by the state or federal government. And these grants are going towards projects around counties where it could be fuel reduction projects, and even more focalized to bringing in wood chippers into a community to help folks out with their defensible space. I've seen it in the past where a weekend where the Fire Safe Council would bring in wood chippers, and those folks conducting defensible space, removing that hazard vegetation, would bring in all of that brush and have it chipped for free in their community. So you can see the benefits to figuring out who else is trying to achieve this same goal that you are, and how can you align your time and your resources to complement one another. So Kara, if you can go to the final slide. And one thing I want to also stress to you is that, we talked a lot about planning for fire, but let's transition now to how do we find out when one takes place near you, because evacuation planning involves early warning. And cities and counties across the state, they have a public notification system that can be sent out to notify the public of any of those following bullet points you see there: fire, floods, evacuations. And that can come to you via text message, an email, or a phone call. And updates are sent as well as the initial notification so that you can stay informed about what's going on. I personally live in Madera City, so I've signed up for my city emergency alerts and my Madera County emergency alerts. So I log into the system, or I'm sorry, I went to the website initially and I entered in my name, my address, my phone number, and stated that I wanted to be be alerted by text. And every system's a little bit different throughout the state, but they relatively do the same service. And then I checked all the boxes that I wanted to have an awareness about. In addition to this list, it's been power outages, road closures, or police actions. But the key thing here is that you must sign up for the service. It's not an automatic guarantee. You have to sign up for it. And that way you get entered into that notification database, and this would actually make a great goal for a 3-year action plan for a FireWise community to ensure that all of this work you're doing also includes early notification of an emergency. And I stress this because I came across an article in Cal Matters. It's a nonprofit news organization, and in late 2020, it released a story about the California's emergency alert system that takes place with counties and cities. And only 1% of the adults in Fresno County had signed up for the emergency alert. And this was while the Creek Fire was burning up in the mountains, where 850 structures were destroyed. At the same time, they looked at LA County that has a population of 7.9 million people. Only 1% of the population had signed up for an emergency alert. And LA County has fire-prone areas that we've all heard about, the Malibu area or the San Gabriel Mountains. So I really encourage you to sign up for this, folks, because just by those statistics and that news article that came out, those are millions of people finding out later rather than sooner that an emergency is taking place. Okay. So just remember that this is something you have to sign up for, and it's not an automatic guarantee. So you can imagine how it plays out in a FireWise community. If you established a FireWise community, you've signed up for your emergency alert system, you receive a notification that a fire is occurring a couple of streets over from you. Would you not have a better peace of mind knowing that you've been preparing your home and neighborhood for wildfire? You've been preparing for an evacuation, your go bags are packed, and now you get the notification. You can grab your family members and those other loose items that are important to you and get out of the area safely while there's enough time so that firefighting forces can come in and take advantage of the work that you've been doing by prepping your neighborhood against wildfire. You're stacking the deck in our favor for success, folks. That's what you're doing. So just remember those 3 big steps: organize it, plan it, and do it. And with that, Kara, I'll turn it back over to you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Chief. Is there anyone online who has a question? Okay, we did just have a question pop up. So it's from Justin. Can you touch upon residential property insurance companies offering discounts for FireWise communities?
Yes, Justin, that I would encourage you to visit the California Department of Insurance, their website. Commissioner Laura has really taken this to heart. And when you get on the landing page there, you're going to see Safer from Wildfire. And when you click on that link, it'll take you to his plan on how to prepare your community for wildfire, and also his direction to the insurance companies to recognize those communities that have been preparing and to provide an insurance discount. And also on his webpage, there would be a list of those insurance companies that are participating in providing a discount to those homeowners that are getting involved in actually, for example, being part of a FireWise community.
Perfect. Thank you. And I did drop a couple links into the chat, one for the main insurance page and the second for the Safer Wildfires. Anyone else have any questions? All right. Well, we will now end this portion of the webinar. Thank you so much, Chief Potkey and team. This was a great webinar, and now we will go on to focusing on our next webinar, which will be held on, let's see, May 22nd, and it will discuss the Utility Fire Mitigation Program, talking about power line fire prevention. So please join us on that day and time. And without further ado, we will go ahead and end this webinar. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Stay safe.